Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cultural Awareness, the podcast that allows you to travel across the world. All of this from the backseat of your car, the comfort of your home, or maybe your neighbor house. Who knows? Wherever you are, welcome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'm your host, Big Steph. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new podcast episode, and be ready. It's going to be fire. It's going to be hot in here. Why? Because we are touching a topic that a lot of people will not dare touch. Why? Because it's quite, to be honest, a little bit taboo, so it's a topic where every time people hear it, especially people coming from my background, meaning Africa, they are a little bit reluctant to talk about it or to speak about it. So I decided, hey, this is cultural awareness and people should be aware of it. So I decided to go ahead and talk about it. Well, what is the topic of the day? Well, the topic of the day is arranged marriage. Yep, you hear me. Arranged marriage. So a lot of people don't know that in Africa we still have arranged marriage. And before we actually get deep and talk about what arranged marriage is, I like to, explain a little bit how, it works and things like that. So let's say you have your child, right? And you come from a wealthy background, wealthy family, but you feel like a child, like your friend child, I don't know, you might have a friend that is also wealthy like you, and you want your son to marry in a good family, which is what most people or most family dream of, right? They don't want to send their daughter or their son into misery. They want to make sure that when they send their kids somewhere, that this person will be well taken care of. So let's say you talk with your friend like, hey, I see you have a daughter and I have a son, so let's make a pact. Meaning, like, we will shake on it and we will drink on it in front of people and in front of family, that once they get the age to marry, you will allow my son to marry your daughter. Like, this is before, like, the child is barely maybe 1 year old, or sometime the child is still even in the womb when they make these type of pact, right? And when the children grow, by the time they hit like 15, 16 for the girl and 18 for the man, they allow them now to get married. Or because it was already arranged, it's not really allowing, they tell them that they should get married, right? And most of the time, even if the boy say, oh, I don't have the money, the family will be like, don't worry about the money, we already arranged for it and we will pay for it. So all you have to do is really just say yes and marry this girl, because it was arranged before you even set foot on this earth. And that is how usually arranged marriage work. Well, in Cameroon, mostly in the northern part of Cameroon, is something that is very, very, very common, and religion has nothing to do with it. It's more about tribe and traditions and things like that. So, in Cameroon, usually not everywhere, but mostly in the northern part. It's a little bit in the western part where I am from, but it's a practice that is like not common anymore, right? But in the northern part of Cameroon, it's very, very common. And what they do is now we call it forced arranged marriage, meaning sometime or most of the time, even when the girl doesn't want to marry the guy or the guy doesn't want to marry the girl, they get forced to do it just because it was a pact that was set by parents before these kids were even born. They shook on it, they drank on it in front of people, and they don't want to have the feeling of being dishonored, like they want to keep their not only integrity but also their respect in front of the people that they shook hands and did the pact with. So today's topic is, like I said, we're talking a lot about arranged marriage. So before I keep talking about it, so let me ask you a question as a fan or a listener when you are listening to me. If you want to get married with a guy and the guy really loves you, but your parents are against the marriage, will you still do it in the name of love? I don't know. So it's up to you to decide. Now, let's say you guys are both in love and the parents don't want it, and you decide, okay, I will give up on this love because my parents are not okay with it, and you go and find someone else. Well, there are chances that you might regret doing it, and there are also chances that you might not regret doing that. Now, let's flip side. Let's talk about arranged marriage. Parent arranged for you to marry a guy, but you don't love that guy, you love someone else. But because it's your tradition and you are supposed to do it, will you still go ahead and do it, or will you not do it? That is still another question to answer. So these are the type of question that a lot of African traditionalists and the people of the book, like we call them, people that went to school, they went to college, we call them people of the book. So these are the type of question they try to answer every day. Well, in my opinion, since we are talking about arranged marriage, it depends on what you guys want to do, right? But also in Africa, you must understand that there's also consequences for not doing something, right? Let's say parents both said yes and the kids say no, like your parents say yes, the other parent of whatever it is, a girl or a guy also say yes, but you guys don't want to get married together. Well, there are also consequences. There are things that must follow, because some parents don't want to be called as dishonest, and they want to save their reputation. If they have that type of integrity, they don't want it to be messed up, and they want people to know that they abide by their word, by their words. So arranged marriage is a subject that is very, very tricky. And since we were doing arranged marriage, since the topic is arranged marriage, I decided to go ahead and look other countries in the world where arranged marriage is pretty common. And I was actually really fascinated that it's actually a really, really... There's a lot of country that practices it. It's a common thing in a lot of country. The number one country where it's very common is actually India. I didn't know that, So India is actually the number one country where arranged marriage is actually prominent. You also have a country like China, Pakistan, Japan, Israel, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran that also follow, right? Because arranged marriage is pretty common in those countries. And I know a couple of people that told me that they had arranged marriage and that they weren't okay with, but they were forced into doing it, and they had to do it because then if they didn't do it, they will have to suffer the consequences, not only from their family, but also from the family of the other side. So in Cameroon right now, we have the story of the day where a woman as a child was forced to marry a man when she was 15 years old. And before you judge about, she got forced to be married at 15 years old, you also must understand that Cameroon law says that before a woman can get married at 15 and a man can get married at 18. So because there's an assumption that women usually tend to mature faster than men. So that is actually in our law and constitution. Now, so this woman was forced into marrying a man when she was 15 years old. And when she got there, the man keep beating her, making her do some crazy stuff as far as taking nude pictures. I don't want to get in because it was very, very sad, the story. But what we need to know is that he will beat her up. He will make her do certain things that are not really human, And the problem is when she tried to complain to her family about it, well, they couldn't even step to protect her or stay on her side. They decided that no, she should do everything to not only please her man, but she should do everything he says, and that he's her husband, and they have no say into it. The problem is the family took a big dowry money, right? To where they have no say. So it's pretty much like selling your child. Dowry wasn't meant for you to pretty much sell your child. But when you take millions of our currency like the CFA, when you take millions of it and you send your daughter to somebody, expect that there will be consequences, because now he's treating her like an object instead of treating her like a companionship, So, this lady now is complaining because she doesn't know what to do. On her side of the family, she's being rejected, and because the father doesn't want to leave the, I guess, humiliation. But on the side of her husband family, she tried to go and see them, brothers, sisters, so they can see how they can get the husband to stop not only beating her, but stop making her do some of those unhuman things. And they also are not siding with her. So now she's confronted where she says she would rather die than going back with that man because of the things that he did to her. That is the story of the day. That is one of the consequences of arranged marriage. That is one of the consequences that people live every day when they have arranged marriage. Another consequence of arranged marriage is you get a person because it was arranged marriage and they are not who you thought they were. As far as habit, it can be both man or woman. As far as habit, and they are not what you tell. Like they have a bad behavior, bad morals, and you are stuck because you didn't make that choice. You didn't make the choice of really marrying them. You were forced into doing it. Those are the consequences of arranged marriage. But you will not believe what I also found about arranged marriage, because I was shocked when I read it, and I would like to share it with you guys as fans. So, there was a study that was made in 2012. It's a statistic about arranged marriage, and you know that in today's society, there's a lot of divorce that happens, right? Divorce is very common, but surprisingly, arranged marriage rate of divorce was only 6.3% in 2012. So you can say we're in 2020 and it's about a year from now. But let's say you even double the statistic by saying 12%. That is very low. Very, very low. Which makes sense. So a lot of arranged marriage go on to be successful. But they're just what we call, the bad apples. The people that, because they had money or they have money, they feel like they can just treat woman or the other partner as as an object, and which is not really cool. But sadly, those are the reality of arranged marriage. So I was shocked. So at least now we can see that arranged marriage is something that, even though is not quite ideal, but the fact is, statistically, it actually has the lowest rate of divorce in the world. Now, that being said, we are going to head toward the quote of the day.
Yo, boss, where is the commercial?
We ain't got none. We got to work harder. Since we are not sponsored by anybody, well, we'll go ahead and give a shout out to Taste of Cameroon. Taste of Cameroon, ladies and gentlemen, it's a restaurant that started in Plano. It's starting in Plano. It's not big yet, but you can send in your order at 818-814-0978. 818-814-0978. Send in your order. Taste of Cameroon. They make delicious meals straight from, the parts of I would say Cameroon, since it's a test of Cameroon. So yeah, please feel free to send in your orders again at 818-814-0978. That being said, here's the quote of the day, right? The quote of the day goes as follows. Live patiently in the world. Know that those who hate you are more numerous than those who love you. Again, live patiently in the world. Know that those who hate you are more numerous than those who loved you. That was an African proverb, coming straight out of Africa. And that was for you, ladies and gentlemen, the quote of the day. We kind of tie in the story of the day today about the woman that is having trouble because she had an arranged marriage and it's not going quite well. Just because her husband is doing, some unhuman things to her. And we pray that, may this brother come back to his senses to understand that, you cannot be putting your hands on a woman like that. That is not correct. That is not right. That being said, since we are not sponsored by anybody, I will go ahead and also, say thank you. Thank you to all those who are supporting me from close or from far. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the comments that you guys leave on my podcast. And please feel free to start checking out my YouTube video also. And you can check my Instagram, which is bsteph77. bsteph77. Steph is STEPH 77 on IG. You can check out my Facebook or, Stefan Nembot. Yeah. And you can check out my Twitter as well. Stefan Nembot, at Stefan Nembot on Twitter. And again, just want to take time to say thank you. Don't forget to check out also my YouTube channel because I will be posting the journey of an entrepreneur pretty soon. And I will post also the live interview that I did with my dear friend Evan Harrington, who was in the NFL with the Washington football, in DC. So thank you very much again for listening. Leave comments, share with your friend, and God bless. Peace. Big Steph.